So it's been 2 weeks. What have I been doing? Some Japanese. Started taking a Japanese course. Nihongo ga skoshi wakarimasu. That doesn't need as much time as I want to give it, but and work has been killing me. So this summer has been hot, dry. You know, things around us have been dying. Fires have been starting. So really, my motivation has been zero in the last few weeks. So really getting out there and trying to motivate myself to make more content is really key for me at the moment. So today we're going to talk about motivation, what it takes to get there and inspire us, and how our tools help us to get motivated and get inspired. Let's do this. So earlier on, I was having a little rant. I filmed it, but my washing machine was going, so I'm refilming this now. And really, what it comes down to is finding not only the environment that makes you inspired or happy. For me, it's definitely not summer. I don't like the heat. I don't like the dryness. Everything in the Bay Area, where I'm at, in the San Francisco Bay Area, dies off. Not everything. I mean, you could go to the coast, but where I'm at, it's brown and it's dead, and everything is just ready to burst into flames. So it's really hard to get out there and feel good about what you're filming. And with the fires, typically, I feel less inspired because it's smoky out. It's just sort of drowning. But also having the tools to be inspired. Feeling good about what you're doing. A lot of you have been asking a lot about, the difference between the Zcam and the Blackmagic. So this is my Blackmagic. I have not been using this very much. For the simple purpose is that the form factor is killing me. It's bulky and it's heavy and it's big. It doesn't fit on my gimbal as easily as my Zcam. It doesn't work. I mean, it works fine, but it doesn't work as well and as quickly on some of my other gear, just to get on and off and packed away and so forth. So really, trying to figure out, with my love of B-RAW, with the flexibility that this camera offers, with the image that it offers, it's great, it's awesome. But just the form factor is just less ideal than a Zcam or a red Komodo or a red, Raptor, whatever. And so these form factors are just sort of lulling. Now, with that being said, this is a great camera for anybody. I've been asked, what would you choose, a Zcam or the Blackmagic? Both of these are very capable tools for any professional. It's really not what the tool is, but how you use it. And really, for me, the Blackmagic body form factor is just really killed off how I use it. I can't throw it on the gimbal easily. Balancing it, even on a tripod, is sort of awkward. It's got more heft on one side than the other. The battery life is bad. But I mean, it's a great camera. I have to hook up my V-mount battery to it in order to get it to run for a decent amount of time. But the image comes out great. So that being said, I would love it if Blackmagic just decided to either downsize or do away with the big screen. I mean, that's probably the whole reason this body is like this, is to fit this screen. And I don't really need this screen. If they came out, I mean, they do have those box cameras for micro four thirds and so forth. But if they came out something similar to a Zcam, I don't want them necessarily chasing the Zcam or the red body form factor. But if they came out something similar like that and made me hook up an external monitor, I hook up an external monitor to this anyways, because this monitor doesn't quite do all that I need it to do. And if I'm filming like this, I'm filming myself, so I can't see the monitor anyways. If I'm filming outside, I have to have an external monitor because this one isn't bright enough. The menuing system is awesome. I do love that. But I mean, if that's going to compromise the form factor of the camera itself, I don't really need it. Now, with this being a run and gun camera, and they wanted to have a DSLR size so body, so that you can definitely, you know, treat it like a DSLR. It's not, though. It's much bigger, much heavier than a DSLR. It's not, you know, as nimble and easy to use as a DSLR. So chasing that is not ideal. But gosh, I like the camera. I like the image. I like what it does. I just wish it was more ergonomically friendly, easier to use, easier to pack, and so forth, and balance on a gimbal. I don't typically use my gimbal that much because I would love to use it with this, but it doesn't work very well. So, but yeah, I've been asked a lot on, would you suggest a Zcam or the Blackmagic? Either works. I mean, they're both comparable. Blackmagic gives you cinema quality with, you know, B-RAW. You could grade it. It's flexible. It holds up in grades and in post. The Zcam has ProRes, so there's really no love lost there. But it really comes down to lens support. So the Zcam, I could swap out the lens mounts. That's awesome. That's a huge uptick. I don't necessarily need to either get an adapter or so forth. On the Zcam S6, I could put my Micro Four Thirds lenses on that. I could swap out the mount, put my Micro Four Thirds lenses on it, and still not lose anything that I've invested in there. I could also put on EF glass, and so that gives me a lot more flexibility on what I'm doing. Now, I've invested in anamorphic lenses on the Micro Four Thirds system. I don't want to lose that if I go up to a Super 35mm S6 or Blackmagic 6K. So if I were to reinvest and do the 6K version of this, I would lose out on being able to use those lenses. So all my Mikey Cine primes, my anamorphics, and so forth would just, you know, be able to be held on these. But if I were to upgrade, I would probably get rid of one of these cameras, which means I wouldn't necessarily be able to use it anymore. So, I mean, that's really the flexibility of the Zcam system has it over this. Now, a lot of the connections and mounts and finickiness of the Zcam is, you know, there's not a wide selection of good second party things. Alvin's cables is great, but, you know, trying to figure out what goes with what can be a little taxing and looking through the website. Whereas, you know, everybody ran out with the Blackmagic and made a lot of strides in second, you know, aftermarket accessories. But I mean, I do like this camera, but I also like my Zcam. Matching the two together in you know, in one video can be a little tricky. You do have a lot more range and being able to push and pull the image with the Blackmagic than you do the ProRes off of Zcam. But I mean, and I don't shoot Zcam RAW or Z RAW because I don't want to have to transcode it. I would rather just work natively, and so far Blackmagic isn't going to support Z RAW as far as I know, and I don't know if Zcam is pushing any other NLEs to support their format. So if so, that'd be great. So I really think the future for me might be investing in a Zcam. And you know, the Blackmagics are great, and you know, I could get into a 6K Blackmagic a lot easier than I can a Zcam S6, but I would lose out on being able to change my mount. I would lose out on the form factor. So, well, those are interesting things. The other thing to talk about today was SSDs. Now, get a mug with your mug on it. I've been reading a lot, and the founder of Zcam talks a lot on the Zcam users group on Facebook about support for the Samsung T5 and T7s. I use T5s on all my cameras, including my Zcam. Never had an issue with it, but I'm also using it on the E2M4, which is producing a little bit less data than, let's say, a 6K. So if I were to move to the 6K, I'm worried that I would have to reinvest in, they support the Samsung external SSDs. So I might have to do that. I do have CFast cards. I normally just use those for backups. And so, you know, that might be one of the gotchas in switching over. But it's interesting that, you know, the Blackmagic cameras, you could hook up a Samsung T5, no problem. Can't hook up a T7 because it has problems, but T5, no problem. If you move into the 6K supports it too, but with Zcam it doesn't. So I don't know if that's just writing ProRes out or optimizing the read-write out of the camera. So, you know, that's another interesting thing to get into. As far as the other last thing that I've been sort of looking at, I've now got my lights that I've ordered. I've got pretty much everything going on there. My audio, I am using a lav today. I'm recording straight into the camera, but it would be good to see if I get a Zoom 32-bit float audio, because I do peak out quite a bit and I do struggle with my audio quite a bit. Whether it's the levels too low, too high, it just gets a little frustrating to compensate for all of that. But other than that, it's been good. So that's my update for today. I'm going to be trying to produce a little bit more content. I'm hoping that my work sort of slows down a little bit and gets a little bit calmer so that I do have the energy. I typically film at night, and I just haven't had any energy or motivation to film. With the temperatures coming back down, hopefully I'm able to get back outside and do some hiking and talk, you know, not just on this couch, and do a little bit more there. So we'll see what the next few weeks to months have for us, and you know, as we roll into fall and roll into, you know, the holiday seasons, I'm looking forward to that. And I think, you know, I might actually be producing a little bit more content later on there. So let me know what you'd like to see. I do want to produce more videos about Zcam. I'm really enjoying it, but I do want to use my Blackmagic again. It would be nice to feel good using this in comparison with the Zcam. So let me know that you like this video by hitting that like and subscribe buttons, and we'll see you next week. Have a good one.